Let's see what we got. We're live. We're live on Facebook. Are we? But are we? We're live on YouTube. Facebook is always a challenge. Check the volume. I got my cables underfoot today. Trampled underfoot. Let's see. I know I have sound. I know I have video because, you know, at this point. How are you, folks? I see a couple people on YouTube. Oh, 2 people on YouTube. And I always check to see that it's actually working on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. And what sucks is you can't tell till it starts. But yeah, it looks like everything's cool. Let's see. Twitter's the last one to check on this go around. But yeah, good to be here. Good to be anywhere. You know, just I as you folks know, I'm very cognizant of, as we all are, I'm sure, the impermanence of life. You know, we're fortunate to be here any day that we're here, so I give thanks. I do that all the time, and I'm happy to wake up each day. And but you know, this weekend with the big rock and roll loss of it's kind of a pretty regular thing, right? I mean, we all die, so that part's not surprising. But I'm talking about Taylor Hawkins, of course, and that effect on kind of just thinking about your own mortality. Because when it's someone that young, 50, you know, and of course there's an unfolding narrative on, you know, prescriptions he might have been on, drugs he might have taken, recreational, whatever it was, you know, it's like, oh shit, lucky to be alive every day. So I say that, and I say to you, hanging out with me today, thanks for giving me, for this slice of my life, some purpose here to do stuff. So I wanted to say hi. Now I'm on YouTube. Hey, Sharon Lynn Baker, what's up? A comfy synth bed, that's right. And speaking of synthesizers, Zach Nelson, good to see you there, my friend. Let's see. I gotta make sure the YouTube is open too, because there's a couple people who only watch on YouTube, and I applaud you for that, because Facebook, you know. So we are going to dispense with the nice bed of synths. You know, maybe we'll let's see. We got that bed. How about that? I'm an arpeggiator boy. Man, I just love some of the European slices of electronic music. They call it the motoric, right? Motoric. Just that that heart of the machine kind of pulsing along. So I love that, and so, but that's just a little bit of silliness there. You know, I do a lot of music from this spot, and I have been doing a lot of music from this spot, and that's been a blast, and I'm going to continue to do that. Let me go to Facebook here. Arpeggiator boy, right? That, you know, if that's not taken yet, like by some band in 1982, I'd be surprised. But that's a good one though. Yeah, arpeggiator boy. Someone please Google that. I think there is such a thing. I do a lot of music. I put my Patreon link up there. I do a Patreon stream. At this point, a few a week, but I do a pure electronic music performance. Just kind of an expression of my love of all electronic music. I do that every Friday night, 9 or 10 o'clock. It varies, and so that's a lot of fun, and I invite you to check that out. Um, it's for it's for the Patreon subscribers generally, but I always have an open house sort of a thing. Um, you know, and let's see. I'm gonna put something in here that is the most current. I'm always editing and putting um, new things up, so please go subscribe to my YouTube, and I'll put a link here right now. There you go. There's the most recent performance, and then you can just subscribe right there to my YouTube. And YouTube, very easy to always find me there because I'm just youtube.com Andre Chumley, just like Patreon. Very easy to remember. I could have done something fancy, but if you could spell my name, you could find me. It's all in the chat now. Dave Miller, my dear friend, my good friend in this journey of not only of vegetarianism, Dave Miller's a very old friend of mine. Dave was in the first band I was ever in called Circle of Fifths, first band I was ever in. Right, Dave? That was shit, man, like 84 or something. So we had a band, and it was very influenced by space music and electronic music. We would sit around and get stoned and listen to Tangerine Dream on vinyl, which I have lots of, and I have them in every format: cassettes, vinyl, CDs. Of course, I stream Tangerine Dream now because we're in that era where all these great re-releases and live concerts and stuff. Fantastic. So, Dave, if you want some Tangerine Dream, as a matter of fact, Dave, if you click that performance I just put up there, the most recent one I put is I do the first piece is a little kind of a tribute to the Moog. I love who doesn't that does electronic music. So it's a little love letter to the Moog, Mini Moog, just performing on that. 99.9% of that first track is Mini Moog. But the second one, Dave, you would dig because it was an intentional kind of Tangerine Dream-esque thing in 2022 because I had some arpeggiator stuff, so I had that pulse going, that Berlin pulse, but then I also had some piano and Tangerine Dream. That was a cool thing, right? They were like the only electronic, not the only, but one of the only electronic artists other than Patrick Moraz did this quite a bit, but very few integrated one of the most expressive keyboard instruments, the piano, the grand piano. So Tangerine Dream, with all of their giant modulars and all their kind of staying on top of synth technology, every year that they came out, they always had a grand piano. So anyway, enough music talk. Let's get back to the state of the world, food and otherwise. So Dave says A, B, C, D, E. Okay, Andre, Bob, C is somebody. Dave, yeah, I'm not sure where you go. Where you go with that, but Circle of Fifths. So that's a little. If that's music notes, then you're going somewhere else. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. Anyone that's here. Christopher Lowry says, haha, that's very good. Chris Rock is a fan of slapstick comedy. That's very good. Well, we're going to talk about Chris Rock a little bit. And you know me, I love 6 Degrees of Separation. So I'm going to talk about Chris Rock in the context of the degrees of separation to Will Smith. And they are good friends, and things went south last night. And then we're going to make the connection there to vegetarian food. Watch me. My fingers never leave my hands. Watch what I do here. Guy Samuel Newton, how are you, my friend? I was just talking about you, bro. Just talking about you to a great musician who just moved to town, and a new musician for Asheville, a guy named Andre LaSalle, guitarist, and he's here from New York. Used to play with Bernie Worrell, and he still plays with the Greg Tate Burnt Sugar Orchestra, the late Greg Tate, the very incredible writer. And so this guy's in town now. He's a musician, and I was telling him about IMAVL. I was telling him about Funk Jam. So you'll meet this cat pretty soon. Will Smith should have sat back down and said, "Now that's funny." Right, bro. I mean, it's a tough one. Well, what's not tough is no matter how much of a shitty day you're having, you gotta, bro, we've all been there. I'm really good at it because in the industry I'm in, both food and music, in the food industry for me, I've worked nearly 20 years in natural foods retail, which of all the retails there is where you meet the most, ugh. You have the extremes. You meet the most wonderful, incredible, filled with light type of beings. And I say that with a little sarcasm, but it's true. You meet some individuals. I've got friends that I met in 1989, 1990, who are some of the most beautiful, inspirational, truly, forward-thinking, incredible people because of my being in that natural foods world, the co-ops, the health food stores, the natural food stores, wonderful people. At the other end of the spectrum, I've met the most pain in the ass, privileged, selfish, self-centered, just people who miss the whole point of a natural living. You meet them all in retail, and my point here, and I always have a point, is you learn to chill out. You learn to sit there and you want to knock their block off. I mean, that's an honest emotion. I mean, we tend to squelch emotions, but we've all had that thought cross our brain. You take a deep breath and you say, "Yes, ma'am," or "Yes, sir. I'll give you a refund on that half a bottle of vitamin C that you've been taking for 3 weeks, but suddenly you don't like it and you want all your money back." Yeah. And I don't want to knock someone's block off just for that one thing, but sometimes that's the person that's the 10th time they've done that kind of shit. You see that in retail, and you identify these problem people. They come walk in the door, you go, "What's it going to be today? This was spicy." Well, yeah, it does say spicy sauce, or what's the problem? You want a refund because it's spicy, and it said spicy on it. You want a refund. You know what? Here you go. It's not worth the $6.37 to deal with you. So again, patience and just rolling with the bullshit. I'm not going to go through every example, but also in the music industry, touring around planet Earth, dealing with agents, buyers, musicians, venue staffers, security people, and the fans. The crazy entitled fans who think they can walk on stage and grab shit. I mean, you deal with a lot of incidences where you gotta take a deep breath. Heckling, insulting, racism. The shit that I've heard from people, usually in Long Island, that say shit to you and you're like, "You just said what?" Wow. You just said some shit about my dreadlocks and about Jamaica and smoking weed, and I've never even met you. Okay, I'm not gonna hit you with that 2x4. How about that? I'm not gonna punch your fucking lights out. You racist piece of shit. Are you serious? you just do it, man. You just roll. So I've got this really, so watching that, I go like, Will. The bar was so high to be on your best on live TV with all the people, with the whole Hollywood thing. You're getting if you're playing that game, you're playing that game. So you're in that, and wow, bro, you lost your cool, man. So it's kind of a career defining thing. It's a shame. So again, we're going to move on. I'm going to connect this to food. Guy Samuel Newton, you are correct. Will Smith should have sat the fuck down and dealt with it later. Go later. Pull Chris aside and be like, motherfucker, what the fuck? I wanted to punch you. Go there like privately later because they're friends, and I hope they will become friends again or be friends as this kind of clears up. Over on Twitch, we have 11 followers, but let's see if anyone's watching today. No one on today, but there's usually like one or two people. Twitch, folks, if you don't know Twitch, check that shit out. It's cool. It's a music thing. Mostly, and gaming. A lot of people do gaming, but I'm trying to use it a lot more. I'm trying to use it for this, music and food sort of thing. It's really cool, and it's an avenue to a lot of younger people. A lot of young people use it with music and gaming. So I've had a couple cool people, when I'm doing music, which I'm so busy. I've not been regular with that. But you got to be on there like every day. Christopher Lowry says in Long Island. Wow. Now, do you say wow because you're surprised? Talk to me about that. Are you surprised at racism in Long Island? Before I go on, let me answer that question. Is that what the wow is for? Like, wow, racism in Long Island. And before I answer, I'll say there's racism everywhere. And there's racism. Every group, every human on earth can express racism. Let's dispense with that before someone mansplains that there's racism from all sides. However, in a dominant white Judeo-Christian heterosexual culture like America, there's punching down and then there's not. So there's all kinds of different things. So you say you've never been there. That doesn't answer my question. My question is, were you surprised that I was telling a story about racism in Long Island? Because you said wow. So I just want to kind of tease that out, and because wow usually means I'm surprised. So I want to clarify that because I don't want to put words in your mouth. But when you say in Long Island, wow, walk me through that. Was that strange to you? Did it sound like you didn't expect to hear that about Long Island? Because we'll tease that out. But yeah, so you see it everywhere around this mostly fine country of ours. But I'll say Long Island is one of the ones where, and look, I'm a fair man, and I spoke publicly about this about 3 years ago when there was an incident in Long Island, and at that point I had waited till there was like 10 incidents before I said, all right, this is not a fluke. This place has some serious. And what was interesting, when I posted about Long Island, about the repeated racist bullshit I have faced working in Long Island, so that it was not a mistake. It was not, because again, I'm a fair man. I'm not. Something happens in Indiana, I'm not going to go, oh, Indiana. It's no, of course not. Any of you know that about me? I do not. I'm not knee jerk about anything. So again, I said years and years and years of going to Long Island, and then I probably waited too long. Some would say, and then finally I was like, you know what? Wow. There's a vibe out here. There's a thing. Here's the interesting thing. When I posted about that, when I posted my story, There, and it's on Facebook here somewhere. I don't know how maybe you could. I don't know how you would find something far back, but I don't erase anything like some people do on my stream. I mean, on my Facebook wall. Here's the interesting part and the punchline. When I posted about this, there was a flood of people who not only had similar experiences in Long Island and specifically there that they don't have in Connecticut, that they don't have in Maryland or Virginia or Charlotte, North Carolina or Georgia or Arkansas. Long Island, sorry folks, if there's someone from Long Island, your shit is fucked up. It's a very unique place, and you can write books about it. Someone probably has. But part of that punchline is I had all these people weigh in and say, wow, I had some similar shit go down, bro, a number of times. I thought it was just me. But even more remarkably, on my thread, there was a number of people from Long Island. And almost to a woman, to a man, almost each one of them. And again, there's all kinds of people, a couple different races of people, different age groups. And all the people from Long Island who weighed in said something like, oh, yeah, I had to get out of there. What a toxic environment I grew up in. The people around me, I had to get away. I had to get, so I'll leave it there. I'll let you do your own research. I'm not saying don't go there and there's nothing good about Long Island. That's the problem today with public discourse is someone will take what I just said and conclude he hates it and everyone's a racist. It's not what I said. It's not what I said. But that's why I hardly say shit because that's what people turn it into. So to be careful about it, it's more toxic than a lot of places. Yeah, it's got some pockets that are incredibly. There's some parts of Long Island I wouldn't go as a black man, solo driving in a car at night. I wouldn't go. This shit is fucked up. But there's areas where there's lots of black people. There's lots of Latinos. There's areas with heavily Jewish people. Areas that are heavily Russian immigrants. There's all kinds of stuff in Long Island. There's lots of areas where it's all rich people, and all the houses are owned by people like Billy Joel and Paul McCartney and others, Beyonce, and there's areas that are wow, multi-million-dollar homes, homes in the 20s of millions, of homes and probably higher. So Long Island's it's fascinating. I wouldn't say don't go there, but there's some shit, Anyway, so that answers. Whatever wondering anyone might have had there. Let's jump to some food. The connection to last night, and we'll jump around on this with the very unfortunate Chris Rock / Will Smith thing. It's just a bummer. Not going to stick with it right now, but I'm going to go right to one of the things, and I love degrees of separation. I love that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon sort of thing. I just think it's cool when you can say, oh, wow, this person's connected because that person, Charlie Hayden had twins, and Charlie Hayden had triplets, and one of them is married to Jack Black, who also plays music with this person. I just think that's kind of a fun little human game. So I do that a lot. And so the degree of separation to this story is none other than Jaden Smith. I think that's so cool. I've been following what young Jaden Smith has done for years. And Willow Smith. Wow, that's one thing. As we beat up on Will Smith a little bit, and he should be criticized for the way he responded here. That said, the man's a hero. I love Will Smith. I mean, he's great. I think he's a great actor. I think he's funny guy. I think, as a package, the whole family, a lot of positivity. They're always talking about ways they can optimize health and success in your life while giving away. They all give away a lot, all four of them. Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, Jaden Smith, and Willow Smith. If you Google around, there's countless places where they give back. And I just love that when people of great means with a lot of money remember where they came from. Remember, hey, I can't die and take it all. Let me write some checks. Let me help some people out. Let me fund education, fund some good things. So Jaden Smith, who I think is a vegan, yeah, I would assume. I know he has been in the past. He's got this vegan food truck. Have you all heard about this? How cool, man! He and what they do is just provide free food for the homeless. The problem we have with progressivism and progressives today and the circular firing squad is at this moment there's always someone who comes forward and says, let's not call them homeless. It's insulting. It's hurtful. It's triggering. They should be, between houses or between homes or home free or something. Tired of it. You motherfuckers are the problem. We can't get anything done. Anyway, the way you get things done is get it done and stop crying and moaning about some homeless person who might be offended at the word homeless. So he goes to Skid Row. He's got this thing called the Skid Row Carnival of Love. And he goes to that neighborhood. It's called Skid Row in Los Angeles until someone says that's triggering. And it's beautiful. This was, it was a couple years ago, but I saw something about it last summer also. And I'll put a link in the chat. But, and some of these companies are involved, Impossible Foods and some sneaker companies and stuff. Of course, they're doing it. It gets their name out there. Of course, I get how capitalism works. But they're also giving away some things. The cool thing about Jaden's food is it's very whole food. I saw a little interview with him where he talked about that he really wants people to learn that vegan food can be cheap, easy to prepare, accessible, simple, and delicious. And look at this little meal. I'll try to highlight it. Look at some of the stuff that they were giving out. Wow, bowls with dark leafy greens, sweet potato, black beans, and grains. Wow. Let that be your guide. Those of you trying to add some vegan recipes, if you can learn to cook those 4 things, if you can learn to steam some greens or just tear them up into a salad, and I'm talking, this is always an important area for me. When you say dark leafy greens, that's not spinach, okay? Spinach is lovely. I got some spinach I'm going to have for a late lunch in a little bit. Spinach is lovely. Keep eating spinach. But it's been hybridized to be much less bitter than its ancestral type of, plant. It's wonderful. There's really great things in spinach. There's a bit of iron. There's vitamin K, I believe. There's several minerals. There's some vitamin C. There's chlorophyll, which is an incredible substance that we just don't talk about enough. That's kind of your number one reason to be eating a lot of plants. Chlorophyll is incredible. Anyway, if you can learn how to get dark leafy greens into your diet, you're winning. What are dark leafy greens? Again, I just said what they're not. They're not spinach. They're not lettuce. Eat some spinach. Eat some lettuce. But the dark leafy greens would be more kale, collards, chard, broccoli rabe, things like purslane, even arugula and dandelion greens, beet greens, right? Amaranth greens. Really, any plant that has a above ground component that's dark, hardy, has a real strong stem and has just a deep green color. And there's bok choy. There's every country. There's dozens you could probably find. And dark leafy greens, get them in your life. Mustard greens, love them. You could steam them, you could tear them up, put them into a salad, you can put them in soups, all kinds of things. Number 2 there, sweet potato. Wow, one of the superb tubers, legumes. I'm sorry, not legumes. One of the that's not the word I was searching for. Tubers, roots is the word I was looking for. As a root vegetable, sweet potato and yams and things like that. Incredible. Beta carotene, vitamin A, vitamins like vitamin C is in there too. There's the fiber of root vegetables and sweet potatoes, the good sugar that's in there, okay, the amino acids that are in there. Sweet potato is an incredible food, incredible food. Black beans, another incredible food, protein source, fiber source, iron, all kinds of minerals are in black beans. And then grains, which is a wide open door. Quinoa would be one of my favorite ones, but things like amaranth, of course, whole wheat, which we really overeat. I wouldn't even encourage people to get more wheat in their lives. You got enough. Then there's all the rices, which again, there's way too much white rice in your life. Don't just fuck off white rice. And even brown rice, there's just too much of it. You go into a natural food store, everything that's not made of wheat or corn is made of rice. So be careful there. It's easy to just depend on rice and these grains. But if you really like that grain texture, that grain taste, and it's filling, yeah, there's a usefulness for that, then explore things like wild rice and kind of forbidden rice and these black rices and things that are just wonderful and different, and your body is not tired of them like it might be some of these other rices. And then there's things like quinoa, as I said, or millet. So again, just taking a minute to talk about this beautiful and complete list of foods that Jaden Smith and his team give out. I mean, they really, I salute them, because there's so many types of quick foods you could make, so many things you could have done, but they really kept with this bedrock, incredible selection of foods that are going to nurture people, that are inexpensive, that travel well, that are easy to prepare, that are savory and delicious. And someone might eat a bowl of this food and go, wow, I didn't realize that I loved the texture of kale with sweet potato and some black beans, because it is a wonderful umami. So, all right, so I'll move on from that Jaden Smith discussion. He's a great kid, and in terms of the food thing. So I just put the link in there. Benny Rodriguez! What's up, Papa? How are you, man? Tra! Wait, you know what, Benny? I got to let's get some effects. For Benny, we got to do this right. Here we go. Benny Rodriguez. Tra! Tra! So there we go. We're in a chamber. Just for you, Benny. Because it's that special. Tra! Tra! Ben Rodriguez. All right. No, man. Benny, love you, bro. We still gotta catch up, man. Catch up on a phone call. I know, bro. It's the most challenging time of your life. Not gonna dwell on that, but also not gonna pretend I don't know the journey you're on. Losing a partner, as Benny has been very open and public about, is about the hardest thing. I've lost all three of the big ones. I've lost my mom, my dad, and a partner of mine for 20 years, over 20 years. And I know what, Benny, I know, bro. I think about you all the time. And, you knew my other half of 20 years. Of course, you knew Sherry very well. And I knew Jan very well. And so just sending love, bro. Just sending love. I mean, we just, it's a wound. That's the other thing I'm big on. We can't pretend it's not what it is. It's a wound. It's an injury. And we're never gonna not have that injury. And so it's about closing up the wound, closing up the cut, to use that metaphor, healing it, getting a scab, just having it, living with it, and so I'm going to leave it there because one of the things that happens too when people have loss is people try to explain how's it going to be for them, which is bullshit, and I don't want to do that. You just go through the journey. But those are some general things, and I love you, bro. So thanks for showing up. Going back to the chat, I always say this. I neglect my YouTube people. And someone watching, but no comments. Okay, that's cool. Celine, how are you? Celine says you missed the beginning. It's all good. The beginning was all kinds of stuff. So don't worry about it. I was talking about music. I was talking about the Will Smith, Chris Rock moment. And we talked about just how precious life is. We talked about Taylor Hawkins for a second. So you didn't miss that much. But I did just put the link of Jaden Smith's food truck. He's got a food truck that he, pays for. And I think he's got investors and stuff. But, he's got some cash. And Jaden Smith, vegan food truck, giving food out to the people. Wow, that is really great. So, Celine, that's you. If there's any specific topic regarding vegan food, that's what you missed, the Jaden Smith. But it's right there in the link. And as is the link to my YouTube and my performance from a few days ago and my Patreon. So that's all that's there. And then we did some electronic music. All right, jumping back to the next food item, and I'm excited at all the things that are happening. There was another little news item, and I'll give my usual caveat here. I'm not saying to rush out and buy packaged foods. I'm not saying it's great when McDonald's and Burger King get involved. That doesn't make them not massive multinational corporations. But it's significant because it shows a few things. It shows that they're listening, right? And they're listening in a capitalist way. That they need to have a market that comes in and spends money. I mean, we pretend that's not the world we're in. That's the planet we're on. I'm a big science fiction fan, and this is something I don't see enough people say. So let me drop what I consider my science. If you're a sci-fi fan, you're watching Dune or Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica or other things that are on other planets. Star Wars has like 30 different planets throughout the whole episodes, right? You could be, maybe it's alien, maybe it's whatever it might be, forbidden planet. When they're on another planet, and if there's a society and different races of people that they make aliens, they make them up different ways. You're on Tatooine, or you're on this planet or that planet, whatever it is, and they show us, here's what the government, here's the Senate, like they have that in Star Wars. They show that people are doing spice mining in Dune or whatever it might be, and this string of planets that has spice mining. Or you might be watching, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, where they go to planet after planet after planet, and they always give you a little bit of like, well, here's what happens on this planet, here's how they power things, here's what the economy is based on. It is what it is. That's the fucking planet. And I think, and my point is, we can't seem to get there as humans. I'm an agent of change. I want us to change. I want us to improve. I want the human condition to always be optimized and get better. And I want equity on planet Earth. I want people, or as close as we can get to it. We're never going to have 8 billion people with exactly the same of everything. That's insane. But all people should have dignity, safety, access to fresh water, access to a number of things. I think you know what they are: healthcare, safe shelter, choice to come and go, to leave that country if they so desire, to come into that country in a legal and orderly fashion if they choose to. and the company welcomes and the country welcomes them. So those are some basics. But on another level, it's the planet we live on. It's a capitalist mostly planet. There are other governmental systems on our globe, of course. There's all the way communism, and there's stuff in between. There's social democracies. There are kingdoms and queendoms. There are all kinds of different representative democracy republics around the planet. I embrace the diversity. It's fun learning about all these, you know. But the point I'm making is, we just somehow that gets missed in some of the discussions. That unless we all had a farm in our backyard, and that's what I talk about every week, that you should grow some of your own shit, right? Any of y'all are witnesses. I've been saying that every show I would venture for almost 2 years. I always say, get some seeds, get some seedlings, get some plants, grow some food. Even if it's some basil or thyme or some parsley or some cilantro, even if it's 3 types of hot peppers on your windowsill, even if it's some scallions, which are so easy to grow. And if you have a little more space, wow, a couple types of tomatoes, some bell peppers. We grew potatoes a couple times. You know, I urge people, if you have kids, it's a great thing for kids to see how things grow. That's a great reason. If you just eat foods, as everyone here, I believe, does, wow, you're not buying those peppers or those cherry tomatoes after you bought the seeds or the seedling plant. It's a wonderful way to kind of go, wow, food. And it also cuts the socialism, you know, whatever ism, sorry, socialism, capitalism, ism discussion. Because suddenly you're right in touch with food that comes from sunshine because you grew a plant. And so I think it's important that way too, because it gives you a little conception of that in a perfect world, we wouldn't be buying food. We would just grow it all. I don't advocate, of course, raising animals in that land and slaughtering them, murdering them, cutting their throats, putting bolts through their skulls, hanging them, drowning them. You know, I'm here to advocate a different way of doing that. But again, growing some food kind of breaks that chain of the whole discussion of capitalism and packaging and recycling, needing to recycle packages and all this stuff that comes about when we talk about corporate packaged food. So I want to really emphasize that as much as I can, and I feel like I went into detail there, but it's something I say a lot when I present one of these food items. I accept that we're in a world where they exist. You know, these companies are not going to go away. So my middle ground attempt is, how do we push them to be more environmental in their actions, environmentally concerned? How do we push them to switch from plastic to corn-based packaging, to bottles made out of hemp and corn and all these amazing, you got so many sources of cellulose and ways to make plant-based plastic. Come on now. It's absurd that we use plastic, but it's still here. You almost can't function without, at some level, having it in your life. But we can push and push and push to get these companies to put things in biodegradable packaging, plant-based packaging, etc. But if we can also get them to make the stuff in the package sustainable, reusable, compostable, recyclable, biodegradable, if we can get them to, the stuff inside be a lot better where it came from, how it was grown or made or manufactured, all the way to where it's going to go when you're done with it. If we can get them to keep pushing in an environmental direction, got my vote. So that's kind of some of the setup of talking about this. So the next product I want to talk about is, let's get the link here for y'all. Live Kindly is a great website. I'm on there a lot. as I am Go Veg and Vegenomics, which is a site talking about the economics of vegetarian food, vegan food, plant-based food as it rises in availability and popularity. There's a lot of interesting global economics on that. A lot of amazing stuff. You read about, I was reading the other day, places like Chile and Peru that are changing their economy because of organic foods, peas and quinoa and all these crops that grow really well in Western South America. You've got people who suddenly are getting paid a premium for these things. And this article is talking about the pros and cons, because you don't want to make quinoa, for instance, so expensive on the world market that the people living there who've eaten it for millennia cannot afford it. So that the article was talking about how activists and food people and government is trying to make sure that the very poorest of people in a country like in all the South American countries where quinoa would grow, that they have access to it. And it's not just going to America and Europe and Asia and becoming quinoa crackers or quinoa soup, or I'm sorry, quinoa grain inside a soup or cereal at 4, 5, 6 times the per kilogram cost back home. So these are interesting issues. Vegenomics, I think I'm saying that right. Great site for that kind of thing. I'm going to go, though, to this new product that I keep setting up. And it's interesting because it's from the Pepsi company and Beyond Meat. Wow, 2 big companies that I should have bought stock in years ago. Well, I wouldn't probably buy Pepsi stock, but I'd buy Beyond Meat. But look at that. How cool is that? So this is a jerky. So a high protein, no soy, no gluten, and no GMOs. So that's what it caught my eye reading about this. Because usually these products, they're just made of soy. And you're kind of like, oh man, more soy, more textured fucking vegetable protein. And then you got the GMOs issue. And so a lot of these vegan products have come out the last 10, 15 years. It's cool, and I applaud that we have these choices, but I'm also disappointed when it's soy, 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 soy. And then the second disappointment is when it's wheat, 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 with the allergic capacity of wheat, really for all humans, not just people who declare themselves celiac or find out they're celiac. But it's an irritant across a wide spectrum of people, more than you might think. In any event, they've got these great new jerkies, and I think they're using pea protein and mushrooms and stuff like that. There's a couple different ones. Again, I'll put this link in the chat. This guy Ethan Brown is really interesting. I've read interviews with him. He's the guy who founded Beyond Meat, and some will criticize him for hooking up with PepsiCo, one of the biggest companies on earth, who has done great damage over the decades. Of course they have, putting that sugar bullshit into society. I'm not here saying that Pepsi is awesome now because they've got a vegan food. Please, man. There's always some jackass who says something like that. Like, oh, I guess you love Pepsi now. No. I'm being a rational human being and acknowledging that they are a fucking nightmare for decades, both in the rotten teeth and the diabetes and the lost bone mass and all the nightmare shit that soda does. I'm acknowledging that. I'll be the first to say it. But I'm also not insane, and I'm willing to acknowledge that things change. Companies listen to new direction. Whether it's purely for profit or not, it's always a mix. And so I applaud them. Because they're really, they're doing this for years now, actually. These companies are looking at sources of where they get their sugar, and are they doing things more, what's the word? Fair trade. A lot of these companies are getting into that kind of thing. So anyway, so that's it on the Beyond Meat vegan jerky. I'll put that link in there. Can't wait to try it. I love different plant-based jerkies that are out there. There are there's a few. I like one that's made of mushrooms. Personally, I love mushrooms in any form. I love that. It's a great um, jerky. A little lower in protein than some of the other ones I like, but quite good. There's another one I like that that sometimes is soy. I forget the name of this company, but Upcountry or something like that. But they make a wide range. Some of their jerkies are soy, some are peas and uh, black beans and stuff. Some are mushrooms, some are wheat. So you can really mix and match. But jerky is always a convenient food for millennia because humans could dry meats and fish. Right? They learned how to hang bits of flesh in a smoky cave or a room, and you imparted a smoky flavor, and you would salt different types. So jerky comes out of obviously a flesh foods kind of a history. But actually, I've read about this. They humans dried mushrooms and they dried other things. They dried sweet potatoes and things centuries ago as well. So you know you can dry foods. Um, Pickling is another way too that humans figured out to save food into the next year, into the next season. Okay, great. I put the chat to the jerky in there. Let me back up and see some questions here. YouTube. Wow, YouTube is lonely today. Usually there's a few people on YouTube, but that's all right. This keeps it directed on Facebook today. Um, so let's catch up on some questions. Hey, Scott Fisher. Hi, how are you, bro? Yeah, it's funny. Mm. While we're removing sexual identification from everything, I'm not. But what are we going to do about kingdoms and queendoms? Call them what they are. So, I'm insane because I actually live in the closest thing that we can call, objective reality. I'm a big Matrix fan, so I don't even know if we're in the reality we think we're in. So, acknowledging that, once we have, so having said that, uh, to answer your question directly, if there's a country or a territory that has a king leading it, or someone who calls himself a king, how about that? How PC is that? If someone says they're the king of Liechtenstein or Central African Republic or Bhutan or Uruguay, and someone says, I am the king, then that's a kingdom. I'm fine. I'll call you a king. It's a kingdom. Likewise, just plug that in. If someone says, I am the queen of Scotland, which I think was a movie, or if someone says they are the queen of Latvia, or I think one of those countries has a queen still. Does Denmark have a queen? Certainly, of course. The UK has a queen. The British Commonwealth, as a global concept, has a queen. So, yeah, I'll call them a queen, and it's a queendom. So there is a queendom, and there's a couple kingdoms right now. Doesn't Monaco have a king? So, yeah, we have kings, we have queens, and we're going to until they're gone. And that's what we should call them because words actually have, some sort of meaning. Sharon has a basil plant. Okay, good. Raising it on the stove. Awesome. Um, can we call them monarchies? Right. Let's call them. We use both. Monarchies is the collective umbrella term for a kingdom or a queendom. So we have both. So the examples I just gave. So if there's a king of Monaco, again, I'm going by memory, then Monaco is a kingdom and a monarchy. It's really easy. But we're making it not easy, with words these days. We're making it difficult. And Scott says, oh, that works. Yeah, it does. And I just said how it works. But you don't call them monarchies and not call them kingdoms and queendoms. That's fucking insane. And that's the way we're going in our world. So, and you know what? Packed into that is whoever wants to call themselves a king. Let's just do that, and then we'll call you that. Whoever wants to call themselves a queen, then great. Just let us know, and we'll call them that. I think there's a fiefdom too. What's that? I don't know what that is. And then of course you've got what's the word? Caliphates, right? Isn't there a caliph? Isn't that a thing? So there's all kinds of shit. Whatever people want to call it. Let's have a good time and not smack each other in the face on live TV. Sharon says, "How's the catering been on the Matheny tour?" Great question. I've you weren't here a couple weeks ago. I did a stream live from the Matheny tour, in which I showed some of the food and stuff like that, and I did some stuff the week or two after. But I'm happy to address that again and say, fantastic. No, we don't use that symbol anymore. Because someone wrecked it. No, it means what it means. Okay. But the catering has, in a nutshell, I'll say, well, once you're at a certain level on any tour, whoever it is, once you're at a certain level, playing theaters, playing, let's say, 1,000-seat and up type of venues, you're usually at the budgetary level that whatever someone needs to eat, it's always there. And it's so easy in 2022. I argue it was easy in 1998 or in 1992 when I started touring. Yeah, I really didn't have a problem. My very first tour 30 years ago. Now, some may say I was lucky because by 1992 I had worked in a natural food store for about 3 or 4 years. So I knew a lot about, foods that traveled well. I knew a lot about things I needed to eat. I knew quite a bit about nutrition at that point. Some would say, so I'm a little not average. And then the other thing is the tour was in the Bay Area of California. So we drove from New Jersey to California, but we had to get there, and I had to eat every day. But once we were there, health food stores everywhere, natural food stores all throughout Marin County where we were. There was nearby, and I'd go into San Francisco on a bike, and but I would argue it's always been easy to eat vegan, vegetarian, plant-based, macrobiotic, and raw on the road because I've been all 4 of those things, or was that 5? I don't know, but so I'm here to advocate how simple it really is. It's all mental. So having saying that, having said that, in 2022 and 21 when I started with Pat Metheny, wow, it's a dream. Everywhere we go, things like kombucha are backstage, or of course hummus is like easy as hell, and a promoter's favorite thing to see on there, because you can get that in the most simple little supermarket anywhere in America. So yeah, very, very great food. The other thing we do on the Matheny tour that we do on the Yes tour, and that I've done on even one other tour, there's always a soup every day, and it's a vegan, grain-free soup. Boom! Why? Because that means every single person can eat it. The vegetarians can eat it, the vegans, the person with a peanut allergy. We just make sure it's not, like a Thai peanut soup. The person who has a gluten-free situation, which we had 2 of on a recent tour. And then it's not spicy. You just do everything so that everyone can have it. And if someone wants it spicy, they can add some hot sauce. If someone likes grains in there, they can take some of the rice that might be there, or have it with a piece of bread. So every day we have a vegan soup. Every day there's salad. Again, everyone can eat that. If someone's on the paleo diet, they can go ahead and eat both of those foods. So that's one basic thing. And then there's always a meat. There's always a fish, because there's one person who only eats fish, which is common on every tour I'm on. And then there's snacks that range from, and then there's a few allergies that are taken consideration. And again, I'm talking about this tour, but that's generally true on all the big tours I've done in the last several years, whether it's UK or ELP or Yes or 10 Years After, or, going out with Mo, going out with Derek Trucks. Anyone on that level and up, same answer. Yeah, really good catering. The greatest catering that I've had in recent years, and then I'll move on, was with Yes on the English leg of the tour that we did a few years ago. Wow. I wake up dreaming about that food. We had this team of caterers, these wonderful women. I think it was 3 of them. They traveled with us on the bus. They were with us. They were part of the crew, and they had a truck with 2 guys in there, 1 guy, and that truck would arrive with our gear truck. Or early in the morning. Truck would get there at 6 a.m. and it would go in, and the truck had their refrigeration units, had all their food, all their grains and frozen things, and all the just whatever, right? All their foods. They'd get fresh vegetables every day or two in the towns they were in, but they carried in a refrigeration situation all kinds of things that that you could refrigerate, and then they had their stoves were these little baby cookers. That way, they would roll into a venue 100%. All they needed was electricity and water on a daily basis. It was a beautiful thing. And so we had, what was beautiful about it, and it's the peak of my touring catering experience. So you had these 3 or 4 human beings who knew the 15 of us or whatever the Yes travel party is, who knew, okay, there's a guy who always wants this every day. This person is vegan, that one's vegetarian, these 2 are macrobiotic. You had these people who you didn't have to explain every single day. They knew. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, perfect. There was choices. There was things that overlapped that everyone could eat. There was things special for 1 or 2 people. So catering has reached a really high art, and I'm really happy to see that. I've got a very important text to just reply to here, so give me a split second. Hold 1 second. So, okay, I'm back. So that just going through the questions on there. And I am, I'm always doing 5 things. Um, and one of the things I'm doing, I've got a tour coming up with Pat Metheny. Once again, touring with him. What a blast! What an honor to be part of his incredible team. As we segue away from talking about how the catering is there, which is a great question because it's a super healthy vibe too. It's spiritually healthy and mentally healthy, musically healthy. Wow, I'm really pinching myself to be part of this situation. An artist I've followed for so many years and enjoyed and been influenced by. Just an honor, just a real honor and a trip to be working for his team. And I keep calling it a team because it really is. Everyone involved, the management, tour management, guitar tech, lighting tech, the monitor tech, the front of house tech, the musicians involved, the people back home in the offices, family members that I've met. Wow, just a real a real reflection of what this music has meant to me for 40 years. The beauty, the positive energy that I have felt just listening to the music. I'm going like, wow, what a special thing to be able to be on that team, swinging a pick or an axe and breaking some rocks to make new Pat Metheny journeys. It's great. And as I said, very healthy oriented. So there's a guy on the tour who has a exercise bike that he brings in he's got it that fits in a suitcase. He sets it up. He exercises every day. Very inspiring young man because he's doing yoga. He's doing cardio every day. There's someone on there who makes her own beautiful concoctions every day out of ginger and apple cider vinegar and green tea and all this wonderful stuff. Smells great, and she's very healthy. there's everyone's very healthy oriented in their own way, just eating foods without preservatives. You go on the bus and you look at the snacks and the things. There's really no bullshit. It's really great. Or it's yeah. I'm sure there's some potato chip with something in it that but 99% of what we have on the road is a lot of fruit, a lot of whole grain breads and things. Yeah, everyone on board. We had a guy do one of the tours with us that was because I've done 2 so far. That's a gluten-free diet. So that introduced all these wonderful things that would show up every day. So yeah, I can't say enough about how joyful it is to not be on a tour where everybody's looking for McDonald's and Applebee's and Burger King and Cracker Barrel every day, which I've been on those tours. So it's really fantastic. So let's see. Let me keep jumping ahead. Dave or Marie, I don't understand what that means. Pepsi owns that. Yeah, well, Pepsi is a joint, not that kind of joint. Not the Passage to Bangkok sound effects joint, but joint ownership. So Pepsi and Beyond Meat have that jerky company. And yes, things like animal testing. Exactly. There's a lot of things that companies have been objectionable about, and we are we're changing it in this century. Bassam, good to see you, my friend. No, Beyond Meat is not owned by PepsiCo, as far as I know. They're in a I just said it. They're in a joint venture, and they are doing this product together and maybe more. So there's a lot of collaboration. Yeah, mushrooms are great, and we've talked here about the mushroom documentary. Yeah. Sonia's there. Okay. Stream side. Okay. Sonia, and yeah, send me a text later. Yeah. Sonia, you're on your food journey too. Hopefully that's going well. And what they say there, King versus Queen. Okay, Scott, yeah, you're following up. I'm always a few minutes behind. There was a female king in an area of Ghana. Yeah, I had dinner with a gentleman from Ghana the other day, a friend of my sister's, and I was out with. We had like an international table going on because we had someone from Sri Lanka, Ghana, and Guyana. It was awesome. It was good to be with family and friends. But yeah, there's many. So you're saying though that this person in Ghana was female and called herself king? Is that what you're saying, Sharon? I'm unaware of that. Go ahead and post, please, a wiki. I'd love to learn about that. I'd love to learn about a female king. That's great. And where it was. Kings and queens and guillotines. Yeah, that's about an octave low. But thank you, Bassam, for. I haven't had a karaoke request in a while. Let me remind you all, I'm always willing to make a fucking fool of myself and sing. So just name a song, and I will mess it up. But Kings and Queens and Guillotines, of course. Aerosmith, yeah. Anyway, but some beheading was honorable death. Yeah, right. What else do we have? Matheny's case, everyone has a boatload of experience and can be professional. We're lucky right now, but yeah, that's not always true. And in fact, we've had people on the crew who are fresh and new to the whole thing. But yeah, there's a lot of experience. But there's some. We have some people who it's their second artist they're working for, So it's a mix. The other part of what you're saying, though, professional. Oh, yeah. You don't get into a situation like this without being vetted as a professional. So that's important. Okay, great. So another food and news / item, and I'm taking song requests. And there's a couple more things I want to close with. Gonna go, trying to stay not much more than 90 minutes on these. Sometimes I go 2 hours, but let's get rid of that Skype. I was on a Skype meeting earlier, like your grandfather called, and who's on Skype? But let's see here. Let me get the next item. And if anyone has seen some new things that I should know about, please let me know. Um, what's the okay? Let me pull that up. And I want to put a link here for y'all that I talk about this all the time. And I said the name. There is Veganomics. That's like a newsletter that I've subscribed to on WordPress. Remember WordPress? Speaking of grandparents, Bassam. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. No, but the Vegconomist is the page that I was talking about, and I'll put that in the chat. Please grab these links. Please spread them around far and wide. Bassam is asking for concentration. Concentration. It's funny, Bassam, and you. Let me just see if it's still on my phone. Let me pull up. Here you go. No kidding. Just grab my phone. I'm not even fronting, man. I'm going to show you what was playing on my phone right before I started this show. Look at that. So I'm listening to the new Mother's 71. New, it's 51 years old. But the new release, it's really the Zappa, the Live at the Fillmore East, blown out into like a, I don't know, 5-disc set or something. I don't know how many it is, but really cool. I'm probably about two and a half discs into the show. It's great. It's got its gems. That era of Zappa for me is everything's great, but a lot of things to me have an expiration date. Do I really need to hear Tears Began to Fall a millionth time? I'm not so sure. There's not many gifts in that. But Manx Needs Women, oh man, every time I hear it, there's some weird subdivision thing happening in the 37th measure where I go, oh, that's what's happening. Or any number of things, Rat Tomago or anything on Roxy and Elsewhere. I'll listen to that till I'm in the box, about to be cremated. And I hope they're playing Roxy and Elsewhere. And being cremated, I'll finally have a smoking hot body. But, so most Zappa, yeah. But, yeah, some of that stuff with Flo and Eddie, I'm like, all right, heard this enough. Do we need 5 new versions of Billy the Mountain? I'm not really sure of that. Actually, I'm pretty fucking sure. Anyway, for Bassam, let's get some reverb. Let's do some production for you. Hey, 1 2 1. Yeah. Oh. What would be 60s? I think I need a plate. If I can find that, let's find a plate. Check. All right, that's passable. It's not. Concentration moon over the camp in the valley. Concentration moon. Is that where it goes up? Wish I was back in the alley. I don't like this reverb. Here we go. With all of my friends still running free. Hair growing out every hole in me. The American way. How did it start? Thousands of creeps killed in the park. American way. Try and explain. Scabulation driven insane. Don't cry. Gotta go bye. Suddenly die. Cop, kill a freak. Pow. We gotta get some echo here. I'm in the control room. Messing around with a bunch of reverbs and delays. Trying to capture the vibe of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. And I forget how this actually goes, but there's some kind of weird thing. Yeah. American way, threatened by us. Track a few creeps away in a bus. American way. Bridge of the lock. Smash every creep in the face with a rock. Don't cry. Gotta go bye bye. Suddenly die. Cop, kill a freak. Pow, pow, pow. I'm in the control room again. And, I couldn't find it. I blew the echo move at the end there. But there you go, Bassam. Thanks for asking. I will make a fool of myself anytime in a musical sense. All right. Jumping back, it's food and music, folks, all day. Vegconomist. I really urge you to look at that, and I'm going to show something on there. I just love it because I'm a wonky guy. I like statistics and numbers, and I like to really take this problem head on. We've got to fight back what's happening with climate change and overuse of soil and resources, water, the Dust Bowl that has been created a number of times in the American Midwest. We need to push back, and there's many ways. One way is being careful with population growth. Stop having 7 kids, folks. Stop having 9. Looking at you, Alec Baldwin, or the what are they? The Duggars with the 14 kids, or the Octomom. I mean, come on. I think those are octuplets, right? So it's not really. I correct me if I'm wrong. But looking at population growth, looking at where we live, where we move around, the idea of crowded cities, we got to have all these discussions. Or maybe we don't, and we say fuck it and just drink a bunch of vodka and get fucked up and just wait for the meteor. Hey, if that's your call, then that's cool. But those of us who want to say, all right, I'll fill some of my time with trying to fix this. We got to look at these things. We got to consume less, buy less things in packaging, support local economies, local made things. So they're not coming from China. They're not coming from even across the country. Yeah, that costs more. But then you start looking at your disposable income and saying, I'm going to spend it anyway and buy it 3 times. Let me buy it really well made that's local. So there's all these things, and you all know I advocate that stuff all the time. With that in mind, I'm always reading things. If I see an article that's from Financial Times or The Economist or Time, Newsweek, whatever, The Guardian, talking about the economics of how do we help people that don't have water easily accessible. How do we help them with technology, with building a local economy? And again, one of the beautiful dovetailing things with this explosion of plant-based food is, as I said before, talking about Chile and Peru. There's articles you can read about this. And it doesn't happen. It's not paradise right away. There's ups and downs, and there's companies that come in and leverage and push people out of the way, and there's the fairness and the fair trade part of paying the actual folks picking those coconuts or harvesting that quinoa. Very important to keep them high on the list. But this is happening. You're seeing countries in Africa, various countries in Africa, India, Sri Lanka, a lot of these Asian countries, Indonesia, a lot of these countries have a market now for mangoes, papayas, for coconuts, for various rices and grains that only grow in parts of Asia. I think it's a great thing, and we just got to focus on making sure they have, first off, that they get it first, right? And they have healthier food where they live. But, any way it can influence us. So, again, Vegconomist is a magazine that you really can see all of those issues, the business side of all of this stuff I'm talking about. I put the link in the chat. Here it is. It's the Vegan Business Magazine, they call it. Here's an article about these mushroom burgers that are available in Michigan. So, kind of a regional thing. Another article about this is an interesting one because I'm going to segue to some stuff about Singapore in a second because I've got some family members there. But look at that. The Just Egg people are opening a plant in Singapore. Now, Singapore, folks, we're going to have a special guest reporting from Singapore pretty soon. Singapore is a vegetarian paradise. I'm not kidding. It's in terms of the vegan food, the vegetarian food. Hey, it's no surprise. Look where it is, right? Right in the middle of Southeast Asia, where you're surrounded by incredible, strongly plant-based cultures. Thai food, Indonesian food, Filipino food, Chinese food, Japanese food, Burmese food, Indian food, Sri Lankan food, Pakistani food. I'm going around the whole diaspora there, not diaspora, the whole spectrum of foods that, yes, do have flesh foods in them, but foods that are vastly more plant-based than the average American diet, the Western diet. So Singapore, right in the middle of that, and being an incredible economy, and an economy that has a lot of visitors. I mean, let's face it, it's a former British colony. It's a colonial spot, really. But, in the modern era where that is a hybrid entity, but they have thousands, maybe tens of thousands of visitors. Immigrant workers, I would call them. They like to call themselves expats, which is a phrase that mostly white people use when they're somewhere. I'm an expat. No, you're an immigrant worker. Or let's start calling all the folks from Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala that pick our food, that in part that clean our hotels, that work backstage in the restaurants. Let's start calling them expats. So that's my offer for language school today. White people that go somewhere and work in Kenya, they call themselves expats. They're also just immigrant workers. Isn't that funny how we do that with language? That said, Singapore has a massive market of global workers. So they have a real call for some diverse types of foods besides already being a plant-based sort of situation. So anyway, this is a little news item on Singapore, and we're going to talk about Singapore in the future. But just here's a few ideas of what the kind of articles you see on this website. It's really, really wonderful and talks about all kinds of new stuff that might be happening in the business side of plant-based food, vegetarian food, which, after all, is the bottom line. If a company is not thriving, then they're not going to stay open. Whether it's your favorite hippie or vegetarian food truck, or it be whatever. So anyway, so I put that link there. Yeah, y'all got that. Questions, comments. I'm gonna do this for again like another 15 minutes or something. There's no hard and fast rule, but I try to hit the 90-minute level and then see what happens. American. Now that's stuck in my head, Bassam. Thank you very much. Let's see here. I'm sorry. Let's go back here. January. YouTube. Any questions there? Yeah, a lonely YouTube day today. Just 2 people watching, but no one on there. Hey, that's cool. I hate it when I go to YouTube and I've missed questions from like 45 minutes ago. So Bassam, yes, the old reverb, and Bassam says, with a bullet. With a bullet. Long spring with the high end muted a little bit. Ruben into the Jets. There we go. Sensor scrutinizer. Yeah, right. Exactly. The whispering. That's Frank talking through the through a megaphone, and that was cool. Just don't bring chewing gum to Singapore. Yeah, you can bring it, just don't spit it on the sidewalk. Yeah, don't throw your cigarette on the ground. Do not have any drugs. We watched the documentary the other day on the Singapore prisons, folks. Take a look at that shit if you haven't. I was blown away. You know how there's that saying that all we owe prisoners is 3 hots and a cot? You don't even get a cot. I'm serious. The Singapore prison, you have like a yoga mat and you roll it up. Yeah, you sleep on the motherfucking floor. Wow. That shit is Spartan. But, don't get your ass in jail. But and of course, some people are unfairly railroaded and all that. But the ones who get themselves in jail, they learn the hard way in the Singapore prison. You're sleeping on the floor. It's a squat toilet, which you're used to if you're from there, and it's very efficient actually because it's a squat toilet. Which those of you who've traveled in Europe, Asia, parts of France, parts of Western Europe, it's a toilet without a commode. It's just a hole in the ground and some area that you can put your feet and not slip, and you squat down as humans and primates tend to do to crap, and you do whatever you're doing through this little hole in the ground. But the thing in the Singapore prison is it's also your shower. So you're washing it every day as you turn the shower on, so you're getting nice hot soapy water in there and cleaning your toilet while you shower. But I mean, anyway, that's some snapshots of Singapore. Don't fuck up. Frank Bellina, you ask a great question. I do not know on the I think there is a 5-1 on that. Let's take a quick look together. There it is. It's a beautiful package. In fact, Frank, if I have a copy of the booklet, a PDF. If you don't have that, drop me an email. I'll send it to you. The booklet's fascinating. Huge interview with Ian Underwood. So you can see, if we look real quickly at the package here, it's 100 tracks, nearly 10 hours, and 9 of those hours is Billy the Mountain. And let's see. It's also got the show where Frank was pushed off the stage. Jesus Christ. Yeah, when he broke his leg and all that shit. So anyway, it's also got the famous Lennon-Ono jam, which of course Lennon and Ono put out in their album and called it Scumbag when it was really King Kong. So that's all there. You get a whole, you get a whole look at all that. I'm not seeing anything about 5.1, my friend. I think it's just rarities, just straight up, yeah. Which is cool, which is good enough. I mean, to be fair, do you need a 5.1 of Happy Together from 1971? I don't know. I'd rather eat poison probably, but so I don't think that's true. But no, it's wonderful and it's a great archival material. So there you have it. That's all I know, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, great. Couple other food news items, couple other things. Hey, questions, suggestions. What did you eat today? What was your meatless? I had, and I'm going to have the rest of it. I've been trying to have some really good protein every day and some greens, some salad. So I steamed some kale the other day. That was delicious. Steamed some mustard greens and broccoli rabe. I steamed last night. So I got broccoli rabe. I'm going to go upstairs and steam some broccoli. Some nice spring broccoli came in. And protein, just quick, high protein. So the past couple of days I've had black beans. I made a can of black beans with, and I'll make the big can and just spice it up and have that for a couple of days. And I just took some black beans and, garlic, chili powder, some what else did I put in there? Maybe there's some cumin. There was some celery seed. I just kind of look around. Oh, I put some Thai curry in there just to see how that would be without the coconut milk. Just spice it up, a little salt and black pepper, a little red wine vinegar. I usually cook that in my beans. I just made this delicious little pot of beans, and I'm talking minutes to do this, folks. And I cooked some rice, some brown rice, which I rarely do. Had some, uh, uh, had some classic, just beans and rice. Just humble, simple food. I'm on a budget, folks. I'm always on a budget, so I love that. Really, it's easy to eat, cheap and healthy. The second protein of the three I want to talk about that are so inexpensive, so easy, and so high in protein, even higher, probably the highest one in this discussion, tempeh. I've been, just I love tempeh. You all know I always talk about tempeh, um, and I been enjoying this. Light Life has this new product, which again I'll put, as we always do, right in the chat, and I'll bring you over to see it. Now, tempeh, I love, and it's an ancient Indonesian food. Thousands of years in Indonesia, came to America at whatever point it did. Started becoming introduced to the natural foods world probably in the 60s sometimes, very late 60s, certainly the 70s, and then there was, in the 70s, some American companies um, uh, um, started making it, like Light Life predominantly, and Cricklewood and a few others. Fresh Tofu in eastern Pennsylvania makes incredible. Well, actually, no, they distribute this incredible tempeh. They don't make it, but so there's a couple of really great companies around America. There's one here in Asheville that makes Tempeh, which is a type of tempeh made with hemp as the base protein instead of soy. So tempeh is very important in my life. Um, Easy to digest, very simple, very low processing. Wow, you really you get soybeans or some other bean, steam the beans so that they crack open, the actual edamame, and then sometimes there's some boiling that's involved. You boil it, then you steam it, but you heat them essentially, and then they are inoculated with a you know microorganisms. It's just like you're making wine or cheese or yogurt or uh, kimchi and sauerkraut to a certain degree. Like any fermented food, kombucha, you have some microorganism growth happening that transforms the base, whether it be milk or coconut milk or soy milk or cashew milk, whether it be shredded cabbage in the case of uh, 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 sauerkraut and kimchi and things. So tempeh's in that family of it, it's a cooked food because they cook the beans, but it's a living food because the microorganisms that break down typically soybeans, thereby releasing digestible protein, digestible amino acids, and it breaks down some of the components of the bean that are not necessarily digestible by humans. That gets into a whole other discussion. You all might be familiar with the FODMAP kind of discussion, and if you don't, look that up. Maybe we'll deal with that here one day. FODMAP. It's a system of analyzing the contents of different foods, common foods, many of the foods we talk about today, and looking at what's optimal for you, for your body, for your genetics. So the whole idea of FODMAP and also lectins. Lectins are another food group, it's a food component really that you find in, it sounds like lentils, right? But you find it in some beans and things like that. But lectins and FODMAP, if anyone's out there having food allergies, or they if you're someone who eats certain healthy food and you go, I just don't feel great on this, maybe an allergy, maybe you're having too much of lectins. Maybe you need to change the way you're preparing that food. Maybe that food, if you're reacting to certain legumes or beans, maybe you need to cook them with some kombu, which is a seaweed. So that kombu is used in macrobiotic cooking and Japanese cooking and some other Asian cooking, they cook it along with certain grains and legumes and beans because it exudes some enzymes that help those foods become very digestible. So there's a whole lot of stuff there. That said, tempeh, that's why it's so superb. It's so incredible because part of the manufacturing of it is breaking down the beans to a very digestible status for human beings. So can't say enough about tempeh. Yeah, very high protein. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think something like 100 grams is like 16 grams of protein or something. I'd have to look that up. But for an equivalent amount, here's one way to think of it. For an equivalent amount of chicken, turkey, your typical kind of, or beef, your typical type of measurements of protein, it's right there. Those are in the teens. Beef's a little higher, but chicken and turkey for I think 100 grams or a cup, half a cup. The tempeh is right there, 12, 14, 16 grams of protein for the same amount as chicken, which is, again, kind of a bar for better or worse. But people looking for a high protein food, people looking for a low carb source of protein, can't say enough about it. So there you go. I just pulled it up. 31 grams of protein, more than I was. Well, I was talking about 100 grams. So I was kind of spot on. There it is. 31 grams in a cup of protein of tempeh. Wow. Let's look at let's see. Can I so 31 grams in a cup. How about chicken? 38 grams in a cup. So again, yeah, it's right on par. It's on the order of beef's going to be higher. No, actually, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, beef's higher because that's 85 grams. If we go to, well, why don't they have the same? So if we go up 100 grams, so let's prorate there. So beef for 166 grams, which would be the cup, is going to be, well, that's another 2/3 of that number, right? So quick, help me with the math here, folks. So that's a third of that's about 8.5 times. So beef, that same amount is going to be, I don't know, 35, 40 grams, something like that. Yeah, 40, 41 grams. So beef, as I said, is the higher one. However, the problem with high protein beef, you're getting all kinds of stuff. The saturated fat, the cholesterol, the zero fiber is an issue. The hormones that are in a cow. And even if you bought hormone, there is no such thing as hormone-free beef. People say that, and it's a misnomer. Beef that doesn't have other hormones added to it still has dozens of hormones. It's a cow. So what do you want? Let's compare the protein in mushrooms, which again is lower, but so about the same. A cup has only 3 grams. So again, just to give you some baselines there, the same amount of tempeh is 10 times that, right? 31. So that's kind of, and I encourage people to do this sort of stuff to kind of give themselves an idea of what protein they're having throughout the day. Peas, which are a very popular protein these days in vegan shakes and vegan burgers and things like that. Again, let's compare that to tempeh. Look at that. The same amount, a cup. Tempeh is something like 4 times the protein. Okay? So you got, some things have less protein than people realize. And lentil is lower than we think. Look at lentil. That's only a tablespoon. Let's be fair and say a cup. Yeah. Not bad, but again, lower than great, actually. Superb. Lentils are an amazing protein source. And go back to antiquity, humans using lentils. And people snooze on lentils, lentils are a humble little, people eat lentil soup and every once in a while. But it's funny to me, as a vegetarian, as a plant-based person for nearly 40 years, you don't see lentil dishes as much as you would think. You go into a vegetarian restaurant, you almost never see a lentil soup, but you never see something like a nice lentil loaf or kind of, lentils in a stew with, carrots and broccoli and vegetables. And you kind of just see lentil soup once in a while. But lentils maybe are poised uh, for having their day again, centuries into having their day. Anyway, that's a few things there of protein and tempeh. I put the link there for Light Life's new-ish. It's been out for a little while, for their buffalo tempeh. And what that means is they've got a tempeh now that they put, like, the stuff you'd have on buffalo wings sort of thing. So like a nice barbecue-ish, tomato-based, slightly spicy thing. What I love about these is that you can open this package and just throw it in a pan. It's ready to go. Because tempeh, well, I do that with my regular tempeh. I just throw it in a pan and just char it a little bit, saute it a little bit. I can even steam it sometimes if I don't want to fry. But this, it's all spiced up. You don't even have to add some other, whatever you like, garlic and sesame oil or whatever. Look at the ingredients. Look at that. Very clean. Wow, they really, let's see here. 1, 2, 3. That is awesome. Other than the fermented cayenne peppers, which is low on the list of quantity, other than that and the xanthan gum, which is, people think it's scarier than it is. It's just a cellulose, plant-based cellulose as a thickener, as a binding agent. Totally safe, totally clean. But other than those two things, 100% organic, right? I wish that said filtered water in the beginning and not just water, but I'm sure it's filtered. Um, anyway, Light Life, great stuff. I put the link there. Really cool. Um, so easy to use in every cuisine where you would have chicken or chunks of pork or beef or something, or to have tempeh. It's legitimately its own cuisine that has nothing to do with imitating meat or filling in for meat. It's an ancient Indonesian wonderful food. And I keep promising to do a day that's nothing but tempeh. But I love, love, love it, and I love Light Life. Light Life is one of my favorite companies going back to the very late 80s. And I've met people running this company, and I'm so happy to keep supporting them. So there you have it, a little bit of news. So, all right, I'm going to wrap up, but, a fun day today, y'all, and we talked about Jaden Smith. And you know what? We didn't spend too much time on the Chris Rock, Will Smith thing, and that's fine. But James David Tejada, how are you, my friend? Quick hello to you as well. But no, I feel like we raced through a lot of good stuff today. I really wanted to get the Jaden Smith truck out there. I wanted to get some of these new products, the new jerky, the new version of tempeh, to maybe encourage people to eat tempeh. I wanted to talk about simple proteins, and we did that. I want to talk about green leafy vegetables, kale, collards, chard, mustard, dandelion. This is your time, folks. If you haven't had any of those things or don't know how to cook them, this is your time. March 28th, in the hemisphere I'm in, the North Hemisphere, we're a week into spring. You're going to start seeing spring greens. You're going to start seeing some amazing things. Dandelion, so overlooked. It grows as a weed. Incredible food. I like the taste of it. I love steamed dandelion greens or sauteed. Amazing. I love the bitterness. And we need bitter food, right? We tend to take care of the sweet, once in a while the sour, certainly the salty, but we don't, we have these 5 tastes on our tongue, and we ignore the bitter. And that's a problem. That's a problem. That means we're not stimulating proper digestion, optimizing digestion. We're not optimizing all kinds of things, creation of different enzymes and bile and stuff in our bodies depend on bitter. So I'll leave you with that. If you don't eat anything bitter, start. I'm serious. It's just, or then you're not going to optimize digestion. And we go around planet Earth. They eat bitter foods everywhere. They eat pickled foods, bitter foods. They eat dark leafy greens, and most of these things, most of these cuisines around the world. Um, and if you just can't bring yourself to enjoy uh, some dark leafy greens that are bitter, or some roots and things that are bitter, which again around the world you find all these things, or tea that's bitter. If you just can't do it, maybe get some bitters. Right? Go to a natural food store. You can buy bitters. They make it so convenient that it's even in a spray bottle. I've gotten it on the road, and bitters. There's Angostura bitters that you use in mixed drinks. If you like that, a tablespoon of that is whatever you want to figure out a quantity for yourself. But you do need bitters. You do need something bitter. The Japanese diet, which I talk about all the time, and one of the really, really superb diets at its core. I mean, they have a lot of fast food and kind of junky food on the peripheries now, but good classic Japanese food, which is very plant-based, very fresh fish and sea animals based. A lot of root vegetables, a lot of minerals, a lot of allium family, a lot of things that look to us like leeks and scallions, and they eat scallions, of course. A lot of things that are like bok choy and mustards and similar to kales and chards. The Japanese diet is packed with those. But what the Japanese diet is also packed with is pickled food and bitter foods. Super important. Roots like daikon and different turnips and different root vegetables, beets and different 10 types of beets I've seen in Japanese markets. Ones with stripes and chiyoga beets and red beets and pink beets and all these other things. But things like burdock. Wow, I love burdock. Y'all ever eat burdock? Wow. Look up burdock. Unbelievable food. Unbelievable. You'll see it in almost any Japanese place in Japan, and it's a root. And when you cut the outer part of the root, it's like a white, almost like a turnipy kind of a texture, but bitter. We run away from that in the Western diet, certainly the American diet. So all of these things, lots of ginger in the Japanese diet. So again, we're here to talk about optimizing your health. We jump around different topics, but hopefully today you had some takeaway on protein sources, dark leafy greens, springtime, growing your own food, getting more bitters into your life is not a bad thing. So, all right, I'm going to jump off and go to the music part of my day for a few hours. Got a lot of music stuff to deal with. I'm involved with a couple artists that are going to be on Cruise to the Edge. So I'll leave you with that and say that's very exciting. It's a little, we're all hoping that the COVID stuff doesn't fuck with us. But I'm happy to say I'm involved with. I'm not on the cruise I've been on 7 or 8 cruises, I think, but not on this one. But I'm working remotely. But there it is, Cruise to the Edge. It's mostly prog rock. Look at that. There's now though some fusion starting to go on there, some jazz rock, some funk. They're starting to diversify. Starting to have some Asian people, people of color, all kinds of different people. Cruise ships, of course, what a compromise. Another fucking compromise. We could go all day on those. And some cruise companies are starting to address the nightmare of cruising. I have to say, that was a concern of mine. I stayed away from cruises for years, but my career took me there a decade ago. And there's cruise companies and there's cruise companies. Some of them are trying to do little things. So this gives an idea of the prog rock cruise, and this is one that I've worked on with. Yes, there's Mike Sadler from Saga on the right in that picture, the bald guy. Great band, Saga. Love them. I don't know who the John Kirkman, the host, was the middle guy. But anyway, I've got 4 acts that I am involved in on that cruise, and it's a month and a half away or 5 weeks away. So we're in the crunch time now of dealing with different things to get ready for that. And then I've got a tour I'm going on, as I've talked about, that that is coming up in a month also. Anyway, thank you all for being here. And thank you. That's a great point. Collars for breakfast. Yes, I love it. I have kale for breakfast all the time. I'll make an omelet with like just egg and kale, collards, whatever I have in the fridge. I go, let's put some greens in there. Absolutely. And sometimes I'll just eat. I'll pad out to the kitchen, have some coffee, and like say, what's in there? Oh, there's the kale we steamed last night. I'll just eat it cold. The kale's great in the morning. Japan also, tons of greens in the breakfast buffet when you're in Japan. Wilted spinach and wilted arugula and different greens, delicious with other breakfast foods like miso soup or eggs if you choose, or root vegetables. So, and I applaud you. Collars for breakfast, fantastic. Thank you as well, Sharon. Thanks for all being here. Scott, Frank, everyone who's here today. Good to see you all. James, Bassam, anyone. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone. Christopher, thanks for being here. Benny, Celine, all my friends that are here. Scott Fisher, of course. All right. How do I hang up this phone call? There we go. Let's end with a little sequence, a little bit of more of that later. Thanks for sticking around, folks.